Come ride with me across Minneapolis, a city built entirely around falling water. Over the next 15 miles, we will roll out of a great green city park, follow the only true waterfall on the Mississippi River, cross a 140-year-old railroad bridge made of stone, and trace how a sacred set of rapids became the flour milling capital of the entire world. This is a city you can read like a book, and today we are going to read it from the seat of an e-bike. First, where are we? This is Minneapolis, the largest city in Minnesota, sitting on both banks of the upper Mississippi River in the middle of North America. Its name is a blend of two languages, the Dakota word for water and the Greek word for city, the city of water. It is a fitting name because water shaped every single thing you are about to see, from the parks to the bridges to the mills. We begin out here on the western edge of the city, in Theodore Wirth Regional Park. At around 760 acres, this is the largest park in Minneapolis, nearly the size of New York's Central Park, a wild sprawl of lakes, woods, and prairie tucked right up against the neighborhoods. The trail rolls under big oaks and past quiet water, and it is hard to believe the downtown towers are only a few miles ahead. This park carries the name of Theodore Wirth, the man who, more than anyone, built the Minneapolis park system into what it is today. From 1906 to 1935, for nearly 30 years, Wirth served as the city's park superintendent, and under him, the parks grew into one of the finest networks in the country. His guiding idea was simple and radical for its time, that every home in the city should be within a short walk of a park. The path we are riding is part of that vision, a connected chain of parkways called the Grand Rounds. It is a scenic byway that loops for roughly 50 miles around the whole city, stringing together lakes, the river, creeks, and woods into one continuous green necklace. You can get on your bike almost anywhere in Minneapolis and ride for hours without ever really leaving a park. That is not an accident. It was designed that way more than a century ago. Notice how the trail keeps its own lane, separated from the cars, curving along the shorelines and under a canopy of trees. Minneapolis is regularly ranked among the best cities for cycling in the United States, and this is exactly why. The riding is calm and green, the pavement is smooth, and the water is almost always in view. We are rolling gently downhill now, easing our way out of the woods and toward the heart of the city. And here it is, the reason this whole city exists, the Mississippi River. This is the great river of the continent, running more than 2,000 miles from northern Minnesota all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. But here, in downtown Minneapolis, it does something it does nowhere else along its entire length. Here, the Mississippi falls. Long before any city rose here, this was, and remains, the homeland of the Dakota people. They called this land Mni Sota Makoce, the land where the waters reflect the skies, the name that Minnesota itself carries today. For countless generations, the Dakota lived along these rivers, and the place where the Minnesota River joins the Mississippi, just downstream, is Bedote, a site the Dakota hold as sacred, tied to the very origins of their people. At the center of it all is this, St. Anthony Falls. This is the only major natural waterfall on the entire Mississippi River, the single place where the whole river drops over a hard limestone ledge. For thousands of years, the falls slowly carved their way upstream, and to the Dakota, they were a place of power. Their name for these turbulent waters is Owamniyomni, the place of the whirling waters. Stand near the falls, and you can feel why they mattered so much. The Dakota knew this stretch of river not as a scenic overlook, but as the living heart of their world, a place woven into their stories and ceremonies. When European newcomers arrived in the 1700s, a missionary gave the falls the name we use in English today, but the older name, Owamniyomni, still belongs to this water. Just below the falls, there once stood a small limestone island the Dakota called Weetawanagi, Spirit Island. It was a sacred place, a place of ceremony and of birth. But as the city grew hungry for stone and for a navigable river, the island was quarried and dredged away, disappearing entirely by the middle of the 20th century. It is gone now, but its memory is being carried forward by Dakota-led efforts to heal this riverfront. Here is the thing about a waterfall on a giant river. It is raw power. In the 1800s, before electricity, a drop like this was the most valuable thing an industrialist could find, because falling water could turn a wheel, and a turning wheel could run a factory. So a city grew up around this single set of rapids, feeding on its energy. First came the sawmills, and then came flour. By the 1880s, Minneapolis had earned a nickname, the Mill City, and it was no exaggeration. Powered by these falls, the city became the flour milling capital of the world, grinding the wheat of the Great Plains into flour that was shipped everywhere. For roughly 50 years, from around 1880 to 1930, no place on earth milled more flour than the riverbank you are looking at right now. The names behind that boom still fill your kitchen cupboard. The Washburn Crosby Company milled its flour right here, and in 1880, its flour took the gold medal at a great national milling exhibition, giving us gold medal flour. In 1928, that same company merged with others and took a new name you will know instantly, General Mills. This riverbank is the birthplace of Betty Crocker, of Wheaties, of Bisquick, all born from the power of this water. Across the river stood the great rival, Pillsbury. The Pillsbury A mill, completed in 1881, was for a time the largest flour mill in the world, driven by two of the most powerful water wheels ever built, each one turning out over 1,000 horsepower straight from the river. For more than a century, Washburn and Pillsbury faced each other across these waters, two giants powered by the same falls. And spanning it all is this beauty, the Stone Arch Bridge. Finished in 1883, it is a long, graceful curve of 23 arches built from granite and limestone, and it is the only stone arch bridge on the whole length of the Mississippi River. For more than a century, it carried trains right across the face of the falls, and today it carries only walkers and cyclists like us. The bridge was the work of one determined man, the railroad magnate James J. Hill, known as the Empire Builder. Hill built it to carry his trains into the heart of Minneapolis, and his railroad would grow into the mighty Great Northern, a line that stretched all the way to the Pacific coast. People told him a curved stone bridge across a river gorge was folly. He built it anyway, and it has stood, solid and elegant, for well over 100 years. Rolling across it today is one of the great little joys of this city. The last trains crossed in the early 1980s, and the bridge was reborn as a path for people. From up here, you get the whole story in one view, the falls churning on one side, the old mills standing on the other, and the downtown towers rising just beyond. It is a working piece of history that you get to ride right over. Now the city closes in around us. Downtown Minneapolis climbs into a wall of glass towers led by the blue reflective spike of the IDS Center, still the tallest building in the state. And look up, because between many of these buildings run enclosed skyways, a whole second city of glass tunnels in the sky. You can walk for miles through downtown without ever stepping outside, a very sensible idea in a place where winter means business. Before Flower, this river ran on timber. Just downstream lies Boom Island, and its name tells the story. A boom was a great chain of floating logs strung across the river to catch and sort the millions of logs floated down from the northern pine forests. In the logging days, this stretch of water was so packed with timber you could nearly walk across it. Today that island is a quiet green park, and the log jams are long gone. Rising along the eastern bank just upstream is the University of Minnesota, one of the largest universities in the country, with a campus that straddles both sides of the Mississippi. Tens of thousands of students cross this river every day. The city and the river and the school are all braided together here, so tightly that it is hard to say where one ends and the next begins. Minneapolis has another nickname, the City of Lakes, and it has earned that one too. Scattered through the city are more than a dozen lakes, most of them ringed with public trails and beaches, all of them free and open to everyone. On a warm evening like this, the shoreline paths fill with runners, swimmers, and cyclists. Very few big cities on Earth give their water back to the people quite so completely. As we turn back toward Theodore Wirth, think about what makes this ride possible. It is that century-old decision to protect the lakes, to line the river with green, and to knit it all together with these parkways. Generations of people fought to keep this water public rather than fenced off and sold. Every mile of calm, tree-lined trail we have ridden today is the payoff of that fight. Back inside, Wirth Park hides one more treasure, the Eloise Butler Wildflower Garden. Established in 1907, it is one of the oldest public wildflower gardens in the country, a pocket of tallgrass prairie, wetland, and woodland preserved right in the middle of the city. It was the work of a school teacher and botanist named Eloise Butler, who fought to save a piece of wild Minnesota so that city children could always know what the land once looked like. Our loop comes in around 15 miles, and it is an easy, rolling ride, which is the quiet magic of an e-bike in a city like this. The hills flatten out, the distances shrink, and a route that might feel like a workout becomes a relaxed evening cruise. You get to spend your attention on the river, the mills, and the light on the water instead of on your legs. This is what I love about riding a city instead of just driving through it. At this pace, you feel how everything connects, how the falls made the mills, how the mills made the city, and how the city, at its best, gave the whole riverfront back as a park. The Mississippi has been falling over this ledge for thousands of years, and it will keep falling long after all of us, still turning at the center of everything. As the towers slip behind the trees and we roll the last stretch back into the woods of Wirth Park, the city feels like one long story told in water, in stone, and in green. It is a place that turned its greatest natural gift into an engine, nearly lost the wild heart of it, and then slowly chose to protect what was left. That is a story worth riding through. Thank you for riding Minneapolis with me, from the falls and the old mills to the great green parks that ring this city. If this is the kind of place you love to explore, subscribe and come along, because there is a whole world of rivers, trails and cities still ahead of us, and we are exploring it together. Until the next one, keep wandering and keep an eye on the water.